And what happens as the progression of addiction continues is that there is a physical component where when the person who's using keeps returning to the substance again and again and again as the solution, because it's now the best solution that they have or that they know of, the body becomes physically dependent on it. So there are actual physical components where if the person doesn't get the substance in the quantity that they've become accustomed to, depending on what the substance is, the body will actually exhibit physical symptoms of withdrawal, of dependence. They will be in varying degrees of physical pain or discomfort, again, depending on the substance of choice. So the person that's addicted can really easily become confused. They can become confused because these physical manifestations of their addiction become really prevalent. They become the most pressing, important thing in their life because, you know, I can't get out of bed in the morning, I'm having shakes, I'm having sweats, I'm having, you know, GI discomfort, all of this physical stuff that's really in your face and prominent. And so it can become really easy to lose sight of the fact that it was all just an innocent attempt at a good feeling to begin with. What we see a lot of times is people come in and say, I don't have a problem, there's no underlying problem, I just need to get through the withdrawals. You know, once the shakes stop, that's the only thing. And that's actually a continuation of that same outside-in misunderstanding. There's no problem in here, there's no need for a good feeling. Once the shakes stop, I'll be okay, I'll be happy, I'll be at peace. And so that's when we see people get really caught up in this cycle of chronic relapse because they take measures to address the physical dependence, the shakes or the sweats or whatever the substance of choice manifests when they stop using, that gets addressed. And the underlying issue has never gotten touched. So they reach for a substance again because they're still looking for something better for in here, and they're looking out there. And so we see people come in and out of addiction over and over and over again because what they're still sitting in is this fertile soil. They are still operating and living their life as though there's something out there that's going to be responsible for the way that they're feeling in here.
You know, you brought up a good point on the detox, and it's kind of like not doing something, okay? So if I can only detox in that way, I'm not feeling these physical effects, okay, then I'm going to be okay. And then the focus becomes not doing the drug, you know, not doing the alcohol, not drinking the alcohol. And you know, and to the individual, it makes sense because they've gotten a little lost, okay, and they've lost. Well, listen, they've never become aware of the fact of the real reason why this all started in the first place. So, kind of what happens is what they're looking at is they're looking at chopping off this part of the plan, if you will, which this is where the behaviors, the seen behaviors of addiction, okay, is. And so you know, the focus becomes chopping the plant off or not using drugs. And of course, as we all know, you know, when you do that, as long as we have fertile soil, outside in misunderstanding of where happiness comes from, and we have the firm roots that are in place, which we'll talk about in our next podcast, this will sprout right back up. And it doesn't have to be the same drug of choice. I mean, we hear about it all the time, you know, people switching drugs of choices and people switching addictions. And so no matter what it may be for the individual, but this still sprouts back up, and we're still dealing with the same issues, and it's because of that misunderstanding.